Hello and welcome to Fox Gaming. Today I'm painting Gandalf the Grey. This is the first video in a series of videos where I paint up the entire Fellowship of the Ring. He will be painted to a parade-ready standard. Let's begin. The miniature was painted using Mechanicus Standard Grey. You can use another priming if you want. If you do that, you need to base coat the cloak, beard, and here with Mechanicus Standard Grey. The next color I use is Macragge Blue. This is used to paint his big pointy hat. When that is done, I use Rhinox hide to paint his staff and belt. Leadbelcher was used to paint in his sword and belt buckle. Now it's time to shade the model with Nuln Oil. This will go on everything except for his beard, hair and face. Try not to hit his beard and hair, as we want this to be the base color. While this is drying, I paint his face and hands using Cadian flesh tone. Then I shade his skin using Rakeland Flesh Shade. The shade helps to create depth to the miniature. Now we will take him to the next level by highlighting him. I start by using Mechanicus Standard Grey for the grey areas, leaving the recesses dark and hitting the areas that the light would naturally hit. For the second highlight, I use Dawnstone, selectively picking out the most protruding folds in the cloak and doing some edge highlighting. In this step, I also highlight the beard and hair. The beard and hair was then painted using Skeleton Horde contrast. The wizard's hat is highlighted with Calgar Blue. The transition between the previous color was a bit much in my opinion, so I went over the transition with a mix of the two colors. For the next highlights I used Fenrisian Grey, hitting a smaller area. As with the previous step, the transition between colors was smoothed over with a mix of Calgar Blue and Fenrisian Grey. If you find the transition difficult to do, ignore this step, but I find that it looks better. The skin was highlighted using Cadian flesh tone. Kislev flesh was used as the final highlights on the skin areas. The brown areas was highlighted using Gorthor Brown, hitting the edges of the belts. The staff was also painted using this color. I just painted little lines all over the staff to make a wood graining effect. Baneblade Brown was used as a second highlight, sparingly hitting the outer edges of the belt. The staff was painted in the same way as in the previous step. The lines was applied randomly. This means that they overlap the Gorthor Brown in some places, and other places it overlaps the Rhinox hide. The metal parts was highlighted using Ironbreaker. and then a thinner edge highlight using Runefang steel. I would like to point out that if you have some other metal colors, you can use that instead, applying the darkest one first and the lightest one afterwards. Now all that's left is to base the miniature. There are a lot of nice looking bases out there, so take your pick. I have made a homemade base ready that I use for this project. I will make a video about it for you. If I haven't done that when you are watching this video, stay tuned for that. I just glue on the basing material using PVA glue. Paint the rim of the base black. And put on some green flock. With that done, Gandalf is finished. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for the rest of the Fellowship painting guides. See you around.